Hi, I'm Brownfield anchor reporter Brent Barnett, and today on the show we have a Capitol update in D.C. Joining us now is U.S. Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa. Senator, thanks for joining us. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. It's great to be with you. Thanks, Brent.
I was just thinking right before we started this, you and I have been doing these type of interviews now, gosh, going back to maybe 2014 or 2015 when I
Yes,
was back at KMA radio in the day.
exactly. So it's been a long time. It's been a long journey for us, hasn't it?
It has. Time flies,
Yes,
as
it
they say.
does.
But definitely a lot going on in agriculture, Senator. And
Mhm.
just this week, there's been some developments, particularly thinking about highly pathogenic avian influenza. And the USDA did come out, Ag Secretary Brooke Rollins, and with their update on what they're going to do to help combat high path avian influenza. What was your initial reaction to the response plan released by USDA?
Well, first, I want to thank Secretary Rollins. And I have said this many times before, but man, she got sworn into her position as secretary at USDA and went right into the fire with so many issues surrounding ag. And first and foremost, for our folks in the poultry industry, of course, HPAI. And so when she released her plan, this week, I was really excited because she did incorporate a number of the ideas that I had suggested to her in a letter. I had also spoken to her about this as well, but we outlined a plan for her in the letter, a number of recommendations. She did take those into account and wrap them into her plan as well. So we're really excited about working with Miss Rollins. Secretary Rollins is going to do a fabulous job. She is very, very engaged and wanting to help our industry wherever she can.
What's your understanding of the steps that USDA is going to take here in this response?
Yeah. I'd sent the letter, and what she did, she came back, and I'll list them out for you. When she announced her plan from USDA, there's an increase in indemnity payment for producers that are losing birds, and we know how hard that is. And then there's the development of new vaccines to prevent the spread of new variants as they develop while taking trade into account, and then heightened support for biosecurity as well. And this is going to be a real challenge because I have talked to a lot of producers in Iowa. They are doing everything that they can on the biosecurity front, but it still keeps hitting us.
How important is it, Senator, that we, get, crack down on this virus and try to help prevent the spread?
Well, it's very important, Brent. As we went through this again, our long history. We went through this in 2015, the first year that I was in the United States Senate. And we thought after that episode, maybe we're in the clear, we won't see it again. But it will keep reoccurring, and we will see additional variants. It's not just affecting the flocks now, but it's transmitting to dairy herds. And we've actually seen it go from dairy herds then to human beings. So we're very concerned about this. We need to make sure that we're continuing on with the research in this area. But I am very worried. If we don't get a handle on this, it will continue to spread. We will see additional variants.
Yeah, and the farmers, they're really, keeping a close eye. I just here recently spoke with a turkey producer in Henry County, Iowa, and he said they're taking biosecurity so seriously, Senator, that they're monitoring where the trucks that are coming in and out of their facility have been and looking at the tires and making sure they haven't been contaminated or anything like that.
Right, exactly. And how do we control that? It's so important that we are following all of these biosecurity measures. I had heard from another source the other day that it potentially could be spreading into rodents and then carried by those rodents. And it is really difficult. We've all grown up on farms. We've been around farms. And it is so hard to control the critters and the coming and going. And we know that there are wild geese flying over all the time. It's not like we can stop that. We can put certain measures into place, but we know how these pathogens and viruses are spreading. So again, vaccinations will probably be a big part of how we move forward, but it will have to be done in a smart and measured way, because then we start getting into trade issues as well. And our broilers are producers for the broilers are really, really concerned about that.
We're speaking with U.S. Senator Joni Ernst from Iowa here on Brownfield. Senator, we have a few minutes left here. Wanted to ask you about the spot of U.S. Trade Representative. We now have a confirmation, Jameison Greer as USTR. Just some thoughts there.
You can tell I'm really excited about this one. So I have been able to speak many times already with Jameison Greer. First, when I met him through the confirmation process, and several conversations since then. But when I met with him, I've been able to speak with him, one about HPAI and vaccinations and how that might affect our trade going overseas for our poultry producers, but then tariffs as well. Mr. Greer, he served under the former U.S. trade rep in the first Trump administration, Bob Lighthizer. So Jameison is well aware of the tariffs, the impact to our ag community. And the interesting thing is that he really, really gets this in a very personal way. His wife is an Iowan. So it has been wonderful getting to know Jameison and his wife and the impact they know that tariffs can potentially have on agriculture. So they get it, they understand it. Jameison is well aware of the impacts, and he will be working with President Trump quite closely to make sure that we're looking out, number one, for America's interests worldwide, but then also making sure that our farmers are protected as well. So we'll shape and influence where we can on those discussions. But I am very excited about him. He's anxious to re-engage in so many different trade discussions, where in the previous administration under President Joe Biden and U.S. Trade Rep Catherine Tai, we saw absolutely no new trade deals in the previous 4 years. So it's time to break that loose and get on with some new trade deals.
One thing that did stand out during the confirmation process, Mr. Greer had made some remarks saying that he was going to look for new markets for U.S. biofuels. And that was something that I know the industry was glad to hear about.
Yes, absolutely. And I spoke to him about biofuels as well. And we know that, with Brazil, we're walking on eggshells all the time because they seem to get away with a lot more than they should. He's well versed in so many different aspects of our ag economy and how biofuels is such an important part of that.
Final 60 seconds here, Senator. What's the latest on the Farm Bill? Do you have any updates on where things are now and I guess kind of an outlook for the year?
Yes, I am still hoping we get the Farm Bill done early in this year. And I know that John Bozeman, our chair of the Ag Committee in the Senate, is working really, really hard on this. We took what we had prepared from last year. Obviously, it didn't get done. We're rolling it over into this year, making some modifications. Obviously, those of us on the right side of the aisle really, really want to see more farm in the Farm Bill. We are very focused right now, however, on budget and reconciliation. We do have a funding deadline approaching on March 14th, but in our committees, we still continue to work on the Ag Bill.
Senator, always good to hear from you. Thanks for the updates, and we'll catch up again sometime soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Brent.
U.S. Senator Joni Ernst joining us here on Brownfield Ag News. I'm Brent Barnett with Brownfield. Thanks for joining us.